Hello, everyone. It is Carrie Conover here, back for another live with all of you. Thank you for those of you that are showing up today to talk about doing your best in an interview. So I'm going to give you some interview tips and tricks. If you haven't met me, I'm Carrie Conover, the founder of Classroom to Boardroom and Educators to Educators. I've been in education for, 24 years. I can't believe I'm that old. I worked at a nonprofit, the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. I taught in Chicago public schools for 10 years. Then I transitioned into a role at an EdTech startup called eSpark Learning. And I was a director of customer success there. And then I moved over to Discovery Education, where I also led a customer success team. Today, I'm going to share some tips and tricks about interviewing and why can I help you with this? Well, I've helped hundreds of teachers get jobs at education companies or in corporate America. I know a few things that my students have done really, really well. And, sometimes when they've maybe flubbed up a little bit and learned and moved on. So before I get started with my teaching for today, I want to get a couple of things out of the way. So I'm going to put a couple of links in the comment in the chat. And I want you to just open these tabs on your phone, on your computer, have them ready to peruse as we are talking today. So the first thing I want you to do is open up a link to the free digital magazine we just released this week. I am putting that in the comment section there. It is a very long link because it is a Canva link, but it should look something like this. I put it in that comment for you to look at. Let me just make sure that has shown up for everyone. Yes, it has. So if you click on that link, it is going to open you up to our current digital magazine. So I'm going to share that with you here quickly. It looks like this. So we put one out in the winter, and this is our spring edition. There's a lot of really good content in here. My favorite is this sales from teacher to number one sales rep article about Stephanie Johnson, who went through my program. We have fun quizzes, tips, and tricks. So make sure you go download that. The other thing is it's really great is there are live links in here, so you can access some of the materials that I love. We are also, I want to share out with all of you the wait list for the spring cohort. I have been getting a lot of questions about the spring cohort. So I know many of my current classroom boardroom members were planning on being here today from the winter cohort. We're getting ready to launch the spring cohort. I've been getting a lot of questions about that. This link is the wait list to get on the wait list for the spring cohort. That is opening up on oh no, Robin said that she's not getting those on. I wonder if that's on LinkedIn. It looks like you're, Melanie and Robin, are you actually clicked into my live? Like if you click on the video, are you in there? They should be showing up there. Let me know if you see those. I'm going to pop over to LinkedIn myself just to take a quick peek. Thank you for letting me know, by the way. Okay, I can see your comments over on LinkedIn. So I'm going to pop over to LinkedIn and put these in right now. Thank you for all of you that aren't watching on LinkedIn. Okay, I have now added, just be patient. You're going to hear a little bit of a log here. I'm using something called StreamYard. So I'm not actually live in LinkedIn. So there's the waitlist link. Oh, you see the waitlist link. Okay, good. It looks like it is starting to work. So I'm going to go back to StreamYard. I will get in and make sure you get all of this in LinkedIn as we go. Sorry for the little bit of the delay. Sometimes it might take a few minutes too to show up. And then this is the wait list. So for the magazine, let me make sure that you get those. I'll pop over there in a second so that you get those. The other couple of links I'll be sharing as I go through the presentation. And if you're not getting those, please just let me know. You found the stream on LinkedIn. It should be the best place to look. The last week, everyone was able to get to the links. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's see. I'm going to keep LinkedIn up. Everyone just give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and just put all the links in LinkedIn and then head back over to StreamYard. So here is the magazine link. Here is the wait list for the spring cohort. And then I am going to share out a couple of things from my Amazon store. So here's the link to I think that one is my book list. And then here is the one for some office supplies that I'm going to talk about for interviewing as well. So hopefully you can see all of those now. Thank you everyone for being patient. Not sure what's going on with all of that right now. Okay, so let's get started. Here, let me just hide. Okay, so today we're going to talk about interviewing. Now, a lot of times with transitioning educators, some of the mistakes I see are around making good impressions, your actual knowledge that you need for the interview, and then your actual interview skills. So I kind of think of it in those three buckets: the impression that you make, the knowledge that you have, and your interview skills. So the first thing I want to talk about, and it's crazy to me sometimes how much time I spend talking with my classroom to boardroom students about how they look on camera. And it seems kind of like, I don't know what the right word to use, but I don't want to focus too much on what you look like, but what your impression is on camera is you want to look lively, energetic, warm, friendly. I mean, we live in a world where we are on camera all the time. And that's how a lot of times people are making first impressions with customers and within your company. And so they want to see someone that knows how to be on camera. So I'll often see people who are using their camera in the camera of their laptop and it's looking up at them like this. So automatically it's a weird angle. And then sometimes people have a hard time actually looking at the camera. So there's some easy things you can do. I have worked very hard on my office because I'm on camera all the time. One thing is that I try to make sure my background is not super distracting. So it's interesting, but not so distracting that the person's not listening to you any longer. You also want to pay really close attention to your lighting. Okay, so I am sitting, I'll tell you about my camera setup in a second, but I am sitting in a corner. I have a very bright window over here. You can kind of see even this side of my face is a little bit more lit up than this side. Normally I have a blackout curtain that I'll put up actually with Velcro to my window to block some of that light. I also have a light here to my left that's just a soft lit up light. And then I have like a cheapy ring light up above my camera. And so this just helps my eyes look bright, my face look bright. The other thing that I do that really helps me is in my Amazon store, I have my camera because a lot of people ask me about this setup. My camera is like a web camera and it is the Logitech camera. I think it's like under $40, but it's really nice because if you have like I have my computer down here and then I have my monitor here and that camera just hooks on the top of my monitor. So you can put it on all types of things to get your camera up so that you're not trying to always make your whole computer go up. So my actual keyboard is down here. I have a monitor here and then that camera is up here and it allows me to just raise my face, raise my voice and seem very confident on camera. If you guys could comment in the comments below and let me know if you were able to see. I know somebody had asked me about that last time. I will make sure you have that in my Amazon store. Also, it's really nice when you purchase things through my Amazon store because I get a little kickback and, hey, who doesn't like a little extra cash in the pocket? So if you do that, it's just like a nice nod, a thank you for, doing this live and giving my knowledge away. So let me know if you are unable to see that. I'm just going to pop over to the LinkedIn comments. If anybody can just make a comment, let me know. That would be great. So, that is with your first impression. The other thing that I also tell people is if you're doing a Zoom interview and you're waiting for the person to come up, like when you're being led into the room, I want you to practice just smiling. It can get a little awkward because you're just like, just have a smile on your face. You don't want to be like this. Oh, hi. Okay. Be confident and be smiling. So you want to have a warm, good first impression on these interviews. The second thing that sometimes blocks people is the knowledge. Now, I almost always say that if you get into a first interview, they've looked at your resume and said, this person is probably qualified for this job. And I think a lot of times when people go into that first interview, especially transitioning teachers, this imposter syndrome can kick in for you. And you are in that interview because they looked at your resume and said, you have the qualifications we want for this job. So that's how I tell and coach people to let that imposter syndrome go a little bit. Once you are in that interview, it's time to show your knowledge. So I just want to warn you, do not inflate your resume. Do not overstate what you know, because by the time you get in that first interview, those cracks in your foundation are going to come out. So there's no reason to ever really lie on your resume. I'm not a fan of calling students and parents stakeholders. Like, use the language that you use in the classroom. There's other ways to beef up your resume. That's a whole other LinkedIn Live. The third thing is your actual interview skills. So I want you to have your camera, everything looking great on camera, your confidence, your light. I want you to have a truthful resume so that your knowledge is there when they start asking you questions about your knowledge. And then I want you to have your interview skills. And that's what we're going to focus on a little bit today. So in Classroom to Boardroom, there are 6 courses in Classroom to Boardroom. And one of the courses is all about interviewing. And the first thing we talk about is behavioral interviews. So I'm going to pop some slides up and we're going to get started talking about what behavioral interview questions are. So behavioral interview questions have really become popular because it's a way for companies and hiring managers to dig deeper into who you really are and your skills. So in behavioral interview questions, instead of just saying, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? They're trying to get you to give examples of what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And so in behavioral interview questions, they tend to fall into 3 different categories. So teamwork, time management, and communication. Teamwork, time management, and communication. So teamwork, they might ask you questions such as, talk about a time when you had to work closely with someone whose personality was different from yours. In the comments, tell me, what do you think they're trying to get out of you when they're asking this question? What behaviors are they looking for? They're looking for someone who maybe is, who can adjust and adapt to others. They're looking for someone who celebrates diversity of thinking. They're looking for someone who knows how to work with a tough team member, maybe. So the next one is, give me an example of a time you faced a conflict for working on a team. How did you handle that? The problem that I see happening is that a lot of times people, not just transitioning teachers, people get into interviews and they have not prepared stories. Behavioral interview questions are all about telling stories about your past history so that your hiring manager can predict your future behaviors. Let me say that again. Behavioral interview questions, they want you to tell them stories, truthful things from the past, that show who you are and what your behaviors are so that they can predict what you will behave like and perform like in the future if you work for their company. So as I'm going through these today, I want you to think about how would you answer these and start a notebook where you are. This is a huge part of Classroom to Boardroom in the interviewing is like that we are finding behavioral interview questions and writing stories and examples. And I will say you want these stories and examples to be from the classroom, but anything you can have from a committee you were on, a leadership, any type of technology you worked on, anything outside of your classroom. So maybe you volunteered somewhere or you taught a course, anything that you can do to help the hiring manager see you, all the strengths that you had of being a teacher, but taking that to the next level and have them picture you actually working outside of the classroom. That is one thing. I mean, I was posting about this on LinkedIn, and I know not everyone likes to hear this, but there are so many transitioning teachers out there, and their resumes start, and I was a transition teacher, but your resumes all start to look the same. They all start to look the same. And so how do you differentiate yourself? And especially in an interview. And how you do that is by having these great examples of stories from the past. So let's look at time management. Tell me about a time you had to be very strategic in order to meet all of your top priorities. Sometimes it's just not possible to get everything done on your to-do list. Tell me about a time your responsibilities got too overwhelming. What did you do? This is way better than saying, tell us about your weaknesses, right? No, they're saying everybody gets overwhelmed. Every single person gets overwhelmed. How do you behave when those situations arise? Do you know how to delegate? Do you know how to take things off your plate? Do you know how to ask for help when you need it? Do you know how to go to your manager for help? Finally, communication. So tell me about a time when you had to rely on written communication to get your ideas across to a team. I mean, hello, teaching is all this. Yeah, give teaching examples, but also with parents, with administrators. Did you run a professional development? Were you in charge of a group of teachers? What have you done in internships or side hustles? Whatever examples you can give. Now, when it comes to, and we're not going to go too far down this path today because we're already 20 minutes into this live almost, but when you're answering and prepping your answers to these questions, you want to use the STAR method, where you give the situation, you tell them about the task, you talk about what actions you took, and the most important step is the results that happen because of your actions. So it's situation, task, action, result. The last thing I want to do here before I start taking questions is that we're going to look at this. This is not a current job. This is a job that was on IXL Learning. And I'm going to show you how you can take a job description and start thinking about what behavioral questions they might ask you. So the first thing they'll say is, and I would love for you guys to mention these, to comment in the comments about this, but they say you'll be doing design the overall scope and sequence for each workbook. So first of all, what kind of a behavioral question is this? Is this teamwork, time management, or communication? Design the overall scope and sequence for each workbook. Tell me in the comments what you think that is. Teamwork, communication, or time management? Robin is saying time management. Megan says time management, communication. I agree. So this is some communication, right? Because you're writing a workbook, but I would also say time management. When I see scope and sequence, I'm thinking time management, right? It's all about time. So instead of just saying to them, tell us about a time you've designed an overall scope and sequence, they might ask you that, but they might ask you a question like, Tell us about a time that you were working on a project and you became overwhelmed and were not going to meet your deadlines. That is a much more rich, deep question for them to ask because not only are they going to learn about your time management skills, they're going to learn about your behaviors when you're in stressful situations. So you might tell a story, not even about a scope and sequence. You could even tell a story about um you were doing a house project and working with a team of people. I mean, you can think outside of just the school setting, but you want to show them, here's the situation I was in, here's the task I was faced with, here are the actions that I took. The actions and the results are what they really care about. Let's look at the next one. Create page by page outlines, including ideas for fun activities or bonus content. Teamwork, communication, or time management. I would say time management with this as well. It's interesting when you start looking through, now that I've kind of taught you this lens to look at things, those top bullet points are like the most important parts of the job, right? And so this job to me says they need someone with very good time management. Time management, time management, time management, right? They need, and maybe the last person they had wasn't very good at time management. So they're really emphasizing this. If you look at the next one, write instructions for content writers and editors. Yes, this is time management, but to me, this is also teamwork. You're writing it for a little bit of teamwork, but it is a communication. They're looking for communication. So they're going to ask you about your written communication. When have you had to create a document that helped others? They're going to ask you about that written communication. So have stories about your good written communication. The next one, ensure workbook content meets stringent quality standards. I mean, this for sure to me is time management, but definitely communication. As needed, write workbook content for challenging topics, communication, review graphic designs, and iterate with designers as needed, teamwork. So what I do when I'm coaching someone that's going into an interview is we go to the job description and we look, what kind of questions do you think they're going to ask of you, and what are they looking for? Especially if someone asks you in a second interview to go in to do a performance task or a demo or show something for your portfolio, you got to look at that job description and think, what are they looking for? What type of person? What, not only the hard skills, but what are the soft skills that they want out of a person they're going to hire? And you better bet your bottom dollar that you have examples and not just one. I want you to literally have a notebook full of stories that tell the situation, the task, the action, and the results. I'm going to hang out here and answer questions. This is just scratching the surface of interview. I'm hoping this is helping you, but I'm going to hang out here and wait for your questions. While I do that, because there's a little bit of a delay for me coming from LinkedIn, start putting your questions in the chat. I will answer them. Anything you want to ask me, it doesn't even have to be about interviews. I just want to remind you about the spring cohort that is coming up. It is 4 months that you work with me. You go through the Kickstart program. You get time with a resume coach. You go through all of my courses. It's over almost an $1,100 value for about half the price when you join a cohort. And this is actually the last time you can work with me with coaching and my coursework until November 2024. I will have other things available in my store, study guides that I'm building right now. I'm building some really incredible study guides that are going to launch next month. There will be resources, but if you want to be in a cohort working personally with me, this spring cohort is it until November 2024. And one of the bonuses of working in a cohort, and I'm seeing people in my winter cohort in this live today, is that I get to know you because I also work as a recruiter for several companies. So I really get to know you and know if you're a good fit for jobs that I'm recruiting for. The other thing I just want to mention is I just did a TikTok. If you're on TikTok, find me, but I'm talking about some of my favorite books. If you don't have the budget to take my course, or another course you're interested in. Reading business books is a really good way to gain knowledge. So I was talking about these a little bit last week, but Strengths Finder is fantastic to get to know yourself and to help you get ready for behavioral interview questions. That's in that link. There's a book called Customer Success. If you're interested in working in sales or customer success, that's really great. Building a story brand. I think anyone going into business should read that. Those are all linked in there as well. Okay, let's start answering. So, thank you, Carrie. She said, if you're on the fence, join the spring cohort. She is one of my faves in the spring cohort because she's always showing up no matter where she is, driving a child to a practice. She is there participating. So thank you, Carrie. Robin, so do you think it would be wise to take each line of the job description and do what we did here, sort of into the 3 buckets and work on answer? Yes. Bingo, Robin. You are a pro student. I love teachers because they get it. Yeah, that is what I would do. I would literally have like a behavioral interview question notebook. And I would go through, I only have a limited amount of time, but in the course, I really dig deep on how you would brainstorm those questions out. You think of what are they trying to get out of you? What skills? And then you think of those behavioral questions, and then that will help you come up with stories. So you got it, Robin. Perfect. Megan says, is it bad form to have a notebook to jot notes and refer during No, not at all. I would keep it quiet. And again, I should just do a whole live on like my office setup. But the way that I have my office set up, it's really nice because I could have notes and post-it notes, and I could have post-it notes on my monitor here, like with these stories up on my screen or down here, and you wouldn't even be able to see. If you're in a community, we do have a community, the Classroom to Boardroom community, and like there have been people in the community that just get together in side rooms and practice interview questions. But I think that's a great idea. It's not bad to have, and it's definitely not bad to be taking notes during an interview either. But just remember to always look up at that camera like I am right now. I mean, I've trained myself. I have podcasts and videos. I mean, I'm on video and I hear myself so much that like I get sick of my own voice and face, but I have gotten to the point where I can be so confident on camera. And I think that is like something people don't practice enough. Thank you, Kimberly said the code is not just full of information, but also allows you to connect with teachers all over the US. So true. Such a supportive. We've become buddies. Yes to the office setup. Yes. I will do, maybe I'll do that next week. I think I'm going to do the live next Friday night at 5 p.m. Central Time. Let me know if that works for you. I would love to do a little office. I'll have to figure out how I'm going to do that so that you can see it all. Maybe I'll make a video as well. If you're not on my email list and getting my emails, make sure, go join that wait list. Go to my website and fill out a quiz. You'll be on the email list. And I send out all kinds of fun content all the time. I have a 34-inch wide monitor. I put the notes right on the screen next to the web conference link. That's perfect. That is perfect. Yep. I love that. That's such a good idea. Any other questions for me? I do a lot of interviewing myself. I used to interview for teams. One of the things that I think is hard for teachers sometimes is to go into group interviews. I did a group interview for my second teaching job, but it was like teaching. I knew everything like the back of my hand. Sometimes you have to go in and do demos for groups at companies, and they'll even have you like role play. So interviewing is really something that you shouldn't, like, it's something you need to practice and have buddies that you can practice with. Any other questions I can answer for any of you? I know many people watch this live after it's done. So I'll try to monitor if you have any other questions. And thank you so much. I will do a definite interview setup. I think that would be a super fun live to do. But for all of you that came today on this beautiful Saturday, thank you for joining me and good luck in your job search. Make sure you get on the wait list for Classroom to Boardroom Spring Cohort. I would love to meet you and work with you more closely.